What is going on, everybody? So, the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is tomorrow, and I couldn't be more excited. The hype is real for this system. I actually can't believe a sequel to the Nintendo Switch has finally been announced after so many people have been begging Nintendo to make a Nintendo Switch 2. I personally been begging them for a Super Nintendo Switch, but of course, nostalgia probably doesn't run that deep. But today I wanted to talk about 10 sequels I would love to see on the Nintendo Switch 2, most being Nintendo exclusives. And based on the history of the first Nintendo Switch, I thought these games on this list are pretty much no-brainers. Now, the first game I would love to see on Nintendo Switch 2 is Bayonetta 4, and maybe possibly a Bayonetta 3 remaster, because that original port to Nintendo Switch 1 was pretty rough, and I know this game could do a lot better. So seeing a remaster of Bayonetta 3 on the Nintendo Switch 2 would make a lot of sense. But most of all, I want to see a Bayonetta 4, even though Part 3 seems to have concluded most of the story. And number 9 is a Harvest Moon sequel. Now, we got a Harvest Moon sequel on the Nintendo Switch, but I feel like there could be a lot more done with this franchise on the Nintendo Switch 2. And it would be awesome to see a next-gen upgrade to this series, since it has had a very classic aesthetic to it for the longest amount of time. And while I was going to school, people just couldn't shut up about this game, and this game is very addictive. So seeing it on Nintendo Switch 2, or any kind of sequel to extend the series with all of Nintendo Switch 2's next generation upgraded hardware would be quite a sight, amongst other games. And number 8, for me personally, one of the first games that I got on Nintendo Switch was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. And I would love to see Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4 on the Nintendo Switch 2, because that, in my personal opinion, is one of the best co-op games available on the first Nintendo Switch. And seeing a successor to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and an evolution to all of the storylines in that game would just simply be so much fun to have even more characters than Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, even though they had, I'm pretty sure, close to 80 characters. But yeah, seeing those characters go over to a next-gen version of Nintendo Switch would be awesome. Or even a remaster of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 would be cool too. And number 7 needs to be Astral Chain 2. Astral Chain 1 was a masterpiece in my opinion. It's one of the best action games on Nintendo Switch, and it's just a natural thought that Astral Chain 2 would make the cut to Nintendo Switch 2. I think the series has so much potential, and I'm surprised what the first game achieved on something like a Nintendo Switch, seeing how it was probably one of the best games that came out that year, and I'm pretty sure Devil May Cry 5 came out that year as well. And the next game is Metroid Dread 2. The first Metroid Dread was a little bit of a departure for the Metroid series, and of course we have Metroid Prime 4 releasing very soon, and obviously going to be revealed tomorrow as an upgrade in the Nintendo Switch 2, but seeing a Metroid Dread 2 eventually drop on the Nintendo Switch 2 would be awesome, because we know that Nintendo is not going to abandon side-scrolling platformers. And Metroid Dread 1 kind of revolutionized platformers on the Nintendo Switch. But yes, we all know that Metroid Dread 2 is eventually going to come out on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's just natural. And number 5 is Luigi's Mansion 4. Luigi's Mansion has been getting a lot of remasters and sequels lately, and I feel like they're ramping this series up for an eventual sequel on Nintendo's next platform. Of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 is probably going to go on for close to 10 years, similar to the first one, and Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of the most intriguing games I played on the platform, since its physics were probably the best in any video game that I've seen. And just imagine what Nintendo can do with even better hardware with the Nintendo Switch 2. Luigi's Mansion 4 could be groundbreaking, quite literally. And number 4 was one of my personal favorite games to play co-op with my girlfriend. I think Kirby and the Forgotten Land 1 was one of the best action co-op games I played in recent memory. That game is absolutely gorgeous and amazing. So seeing a Kirby and the Forgotten Land sequel would be a sight to behold, and a welcome addition to the Nintendo Switch 2 games lineup. I don't care when it comes out, I just want a Kirby and the Forgotten Land sequel. The first one was a masterpiece in my opinion, and seeing an even more open version of the first, with even more characters being available in co-op, similar to that Kirby Clash game, would be enough to get anybody to buy a Nintendo Switch 2, but I think most people are just going to buy it because they know that Nintendo Switch is a great investment in general. And number 3 is a game that needs to feed my addictions. It has to be another Animal Crossing sequel. Animal Crossing New Horizons was pretty much my life for about 2 years. So seeing a next-gen sequel or just a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade would be fantastic. I would love to run this game at a higher FPS with higher resolutions on the go, but most of of all, I would love to see a sequel that links to the past Animal Crossing games, or maybe if they could implement some kind of Street Pass feature, that would be great too, and it would warrant a Nintendo Switch 2 sequel even more. And number 2 is my current favorite racing game on the Nintendo Switch, and that is Cruisin' Blast. Even though Cruisin' Blast is based on an arcade racer, I would love to see a Cruisin' Blast sequel on the Nintendo Switch 2, because even though the Nintendo Switch 2 was very limited, I think Cruisin' Blast is one of the best looking racing games on the platform, and to see a sequel on Nintendo Switch 2 at full 1080p VRR, all that good stuff, would be absolutely amazing, and personally one of my favorite racing games on the Nintendo Switch 2 if they lead with that in the first year. But of course, there are so many racing games that the Nintendo Switch has been missing, like Need for Speed titles, possibly Burnout remasters. But if they can get another Cruisin' Blast sequel, that would be good enough for me personally. And number 1, I'm pretty sure you guessed it, it's Super Mario Odyssey 2. It's been a long time since Super Mario Odyssey, about, well, the entire lifespan of the first Nintendo Switch, but I've been dying for a Mario Odyssey 2, mainly because I want to see what else Nintendo can think of with Mario's new powers. And I'm pretty sure everybody's been waiting for an Odyssey sequel since the first one released. That game was absolutely perfect. It was a perfect tribute to the Super Mario series, and one of the biggest and brightest Super Mario games in recent memory. I think it's better than Super Mario 3D World, and even Super Mario 64. Odyssey 2, I'm sure Nintendo is already working on it, but it would be lovely to see that on the Nintendo Switch 2. We all know it's coming, but it's something that I'm making sure Nintendo knows that I want, and hopefully you guys want in the comments as well. And since we're done with the list, I'm going to name some third-party honorable mentions. Now, firstly, I would love to see Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Nintendo Switch. That game has had a lot of issues on other beefy handhelds, and it would be amazing to get a Nintendo Switch 2 port. And we all know it's coming because the first game dropped on the original Nintendo Switch, so it's only natural for Nintendo Switch 2 to have the Red Dead Redemption sequel. And I would also love to see Marvel Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, and 2. Those games, to me, are considered classics and essentials for any video game lover and for any game library. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this list. Did I get everything that you guys wanted to see on the Nintendo Switch 2? And if you have any more suggestions or things that you wanted to list, provide it in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good one. And let's all enjoy that Nintendo Switch 2 Direct tomorrow. This is so exciting, and I cannot wait. Later.